to the Square. Tonight is a very interesting conversation. It's going to focus on COVID-19, the pandemic, and the festive season. As many of you know, in order to maintain the spread of the pandemic, to manage the pandemic, following last week's cabinet decision, some stricter measures have been put into place. And what we're going to focus on is the fact that social gatherings are banned, as well as tighter curfew hours. So what this means in the festive season, when we look at the entertainment industry, there's lots of changes, there's lots of businesses been affected, and our discussion tonight just wants to focus on innovative investments in this field, as well as virtual events that are going to replace the traditional physical entertainment events that we're accustomed to in Rwanda during the festive season. And joining us with us, I think his second or third time on the Square, I'm very happy to welcome back Arthur Nkusi, who is the creative director of Arthur Nation. Arthur, great to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much, Diana. I'm actually happy to be here. And, most importantly, getting a chance of being outside after curfew. That feeling that you are the only one on the road.
I know what you mean. Thank you very much for joining us, Arthur. My name is Diana Nkusi, host of the show. As always, I'm joined by the Square resident panelists. Charles Haber, resident panelist on Square. Great to have you on the show.
Same here, Diana. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Also, resident panelist on the show, Brennan Amata, looking very pretty in a Uzi collection dress. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Dan.
So we started late, so we won't have time to do the midweek highlights, unless really there's something pressing you want to share. Okay, so we're going to just go straight into it. Arthur, thank you very much for joining the show. We thought this on the Square was a conversation worth having during this festive season to really understand the entertainment industry. It's an industry that's obviously been affected, like many others, by the pandemic, and the changes this pandemic has caused in this particular field. So you're an entertainer, you're also an entertainment organizer, Arthur, and you present businesses in this industry that have been affected by the pandemic. And many events have been cancelled for the festive season, less than a month, to events that were planned. And of course, event organizers are quickly pivoting to understand how they can better utilize virtual events. So just to kick off the conversation, if you can just shed light on the entertainment industry, Arthur, what does the entertainment industry look like at the moment? And for you personally, if you can also share some of your personal, how you've been affected, how have you been affected by these changes, especially during the festive season?
I think the entertainment industry right now is in shock. No one really thought it's going to push till December. When COVID came in the country in March, I think I did my last event on the 27th of Feb. I don't know, it was the last Sunday of Feb. It was actually the last event I ever did with a live audience. We all thought, after May, June maximum, it will be done. And then came the summer. Summer is very, very important. Actually, I don't know if people know that summer is more big than the festive season for the entertainment sector, because the consumers, whether you like it or not, you get to consume the entertainment. Festive season, there is a lot. There is family, there is a lot going on. There is vacations, most people go out of the country, but in summer, most people come in the country, and even those that are around want to go with the vibe. So I think the summertime was a very big blow, and I'm sure that's when you saw every DJ was trying go live on social media. Of course, we had issues of internet because no one was really ready for such a thing. It's not easy to do a live event, however much people call them virtual events, but to be honest, none of them are live. They are pre-recorded shows, so there is no audience interaction. So it is a recorded show. It's a rebroadcast, to be honest. I wouldn't even call it a virtual event because there is no interaction between you and the audience. It's basically like this show airs tomorrow, and it's called a virtual event. So it was a big blow to everyone. Me, I get to think, I'm like, okay, is this here forever? Should I rush into thinking of something new? Should I wait? Because it's money we are talking about. So most of the guys that invest in the entertainment industry, the event organizers, club owners, they didn't know what to do. And every idea you start, 1 week, it's exhausted and it's done. So that's why you saw everything now dropping out. The DJs stopped, the virtual events reduced, until the festive season. Actually, people thought there are going to be events in the festive season. I would not agree with that, because no one was willing to invest in something they are not sure of. Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't do a show that would be only attended by 60% or 50% of the venue capacity. And then you also have to add some costs of COVID tests. That's a very unrealistic investment, unless you are in hospitality business, you're trying to keep your brand alive, you're a big hotel, and then you pay an event organizer to do an event for you. That was the only way possible. So the entertainment sector this year is a dead year, I'll be honest with you. It was more of a learning year. We got to learn. What can work, what can't work, what do we expect? I think next year is when we can assess and then get to know what to do next.
And if you can just share, from you personally, how, you said the last event you did was in February, the last physical or interactive event. Since then, how has it affected you?
The event stopped. My shows are mostly comedy shows. We look at bringing in international comedians and then merge them with the local comedians and then get to have a show. We couldn't bring in any international comedians, even the ones that we had booked. In fact, some of them we had even paid an advance, especially for the March show, because we had to do a Sekafest. Sekafest is 5 days. We had already started with investments and also preparations and all that. So to me, it was a big blow in terms of money. You get to lose some money, especially when you give an artist some money. You don't call them and be like, hey, so you see, COVID is happening. I was wondering, can you send me back even 50%? And they wouldn't. So it was big. But again, Seka Live is more of a home for comedians. So every comedian was calling me. They were depressed. They didn't know what to do. And they could see the guy they look at is on radio. They call me, they're like, at least you have a job. I'm like, okay, I don't want to look selfish. So I got some funds that I had. I built a studio and then talked to RBA and they agreed to give me a weekly spot. So we started bringing in comedians in studios and record their jokes. I'm like, okay, this is a good time for you to write material. If you're ready, every once in a month, I'll be shooting 8 comedians. And then they'll be airing once a week for a period of 1 month. So we've done that. We're on a 3rd season now. So I think that has helped them at least to stay busy. Sometimes when you are dead in your mind, you feel like you don't have hope. It also kills you mentally. And I think on my side, that's how it was. We managed to put up a show. The investment wasn't big because, again, I had a studio, I had the equipment, so it was a bit easier. But it wasn't the same case on the other side, the musicians. And we're not even looking at the traditional dancers who specifically make money mostly on weddings. So generally, not everyone was working it out like we did. Yeah.
I'd like to hear from the rest of the panelists, and I'll start with you, Charles, for obvious reasons that I know you are a die-hard, loyal Arthur Seka Live event goer. You always book the front seats. You're all in the front pictures. So yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the topic, but also, just based on what Arthur has shared with us.
A few things. First of all, yes, I'm an ardent consumer because Arthur does offer a product that not too many people have an offering in the market, and it's a good product. And for the last several years that Arthur and his team have been putting together the comedy product. Every year there's an improvement here and there. I also like the fact that the local comedians have also risen up quite a bit. So yes, it's not because Arthur is my friend, but there's genuinely a good. It's a fantastic product to consume. And the atmosphere keeps getting better and better. So that's one. But I also want to talk about people who generally in the entertainment space take their jobs seriously, because you have people who are there because they thought there was initially an opportunity. You also have people who are there as they sort of escort the Arthurs of this world. And that's when COVID came into play, irrespective of whether it's entertainment sector or value addition in the food business or in the delivery of goods and services, wherever you are, whatever business you do, we really got to know people who are passionate and take their business more seriously and those are the ones that you saw sort of stood the test of time. And then one time, I intended to have this discussion with Arthur off air, but I'll just say it here. One time I'm watching his Instagram page and I see something to me that looked very basic. He was in his car with an uprising comedian whose name I can't remember, and they were driving aimlessly, at least in my opinion, while cracking jokes. Now, it got me glued onto my phone. So then I asked myself, how difficult is this? I'm sure there's some technology around it, but it's not extremely difficult. Bana, you come from a media background. Diana, you produce content for media houses. We all know how all these media houses, even the CNNs of this world, struggle so much to get decent content. Now, that's at an international level. Even our own media houses here struggle so much to get content. I ask myself, I mean, even pre-COVID, did they really have to wait for COVID to happen to think about a show? I know they used to do the stuff on the buses during Seka Live. Yes. Yeah. But then now this is just a one-on-one, and Arthur is the one who's burning his fuel, and there's a guy in the co-driver's seat cracking his jokes. And then you look at it and say, okay, yes, these are some of the positives of COVID, that we have made people think out of the box. And you can see the people who have thought out of the box are those the ones that actually take their job serious. Others have resorted to begging and what have you. So that's on the second side. Now on the third side, this is when I put on my hat as somebody who has invested in the entertainment business. Now, Arthur did say something that's extremely important about nobody ever expected that this would happen, that would get to this period. So you talk to everybody. You own a bar, you own a club, you own a band, you own a mobile disco, you own a mobile bar, wherever you are. And you start planning. Then numbers are numbers, they spike, and then what do? Meanwhile, because you're dealing with human beings, you can't afford to entirely let them go. So you have costs that you incur. The stimulus package that was being offered by Minecofin, these businesses, and probably I stand to be corrected, Arthur, I don't know how many of these businesses actually benefited from these stimulus packages. If a club I'm associated with did not benefit from it, then I wonder which ones did. It's actually a huge dilemma, Diana, that we're talking mice, we're talking all these things, and the levels of encouragement that were done around those circles, at least to keep people afloat, because we all know we'll get to a point and we wake up. It's the only challenge that we don't know when that point will be. Yeah. But in the period of suffering, I don't think that the Ronan government especially has been very fair to guys in the entertainment space. Yes.
You know, just before I let Brenna talk, I'm listening to you, Charles, and it is a bit dismal. You know, you think about the entertainment industry and the way it is now, and you know, you never know. It might be 2021 December when the situation is still like this. So in as much as I guess, like you said, they've not been encouraging in terms of entertainment businesses in this sector, I really think people need to really start rethinking the entire industry and what constitutes entertainment to how they can provide it. Like the example you gave of Arthur just burning his fuel with his friend and cracking jokes at them, which is what we're going to get to in the conversation in terms of rethinking entertainment in general, because we're thinking maybe after 5th of January there might be a different scenario, but it might be December 23rd, 2021, and this is still happening. So I think it's a conversation worth having tonight that we'll touch on. Brenna?
It's a tough one. Personally, I'm not well versed with entertainment.
You don't entertain or consume entertainment?
Conservatively.
Not to a level where I would be an expert in these things. But I prefer to look at the value of the entertainment industry. and look at it in line with the bigger vision of MICE. Personally, I was surprised that even with the Special Economic Fund, there wasn't so much talk around the entertainment bit of MICE. Yet, you really need them together. Because think about it. If Arthur has to perform, he would probably be hired by some big event manager. And then Arthur will also hire someone else. So, if you don't support them, then it becomes difficult because you'll have an event and then you'll have issues getting people to actually perform. Because right now, those who have probably taken a back seat, we've lost them. If all goes well and you're back to back-to-back events, then you don't have performers because most of them probably have gone into other sectors, you know, and you've missed real talent, perhaps that was already emerging. So for me, I feel that we need to look at the bigger picture. One, around the jobs that are created within the entertainment space, you know, and not just look at it as a luxury, because when the discussions are happening, unfortunately for the entertainment industry, it's always something that can be postponed. You know, we forget that there are people whose livelihood depends on that. So everything else can be, you know, around entertainment can wait. Yeah, but we forget, how do these people survive? Whose business is actually entertainment? So I feel that it's homework for RDB to do more to support the entertainment industry. They have suffered just like the hotels have, you know. Now, hotels are even better because you have structures, but entertainment, you have mostly young people who have just disappeared, and we don't know where they will go, you know, where the plan B is. If you're a huge hotel, you could decide and sell your property. What could probably Arthur do if he's unemployed, you know? So I feel that we shouldn't miss the opportunity. We should do more to support the entertainment industry because it ties more into the bigger vision around MICE.
And the creative industry.
Yes, and the creative industry. I'm very optimistic around the vaccine. Things may change. I don't think it will be as bad. I'm being optimistic. So I just feel that we don't want to be playing catch up again when, you know, the economy starts going back, you know, things begin going back to normal. Yeah.
Arthur, before we get to the next part of the conversation, which is looking at investments, what should people start investing in? What does you know, the future look like for entertainment? What are your thoughts on this? What are all our thoughts on it? Would you like to weigh in on what Brenna and Charles just said?
What Charles just said is very true. I think, to be honest, there is a saying in Luganda. I'll translate it in English. You first hit your toe before you see what hit you up. COVID hit our toes as artists. Anyone in any sector, nobody was seeing it. We are walking at night and poof, the nail is off. And that's when we started thinking, really. Talked about the idea of comedy on a drive. I mean, we could have done that before, but we didn't. For some reasons, our mind always wants to be pushed on a wall to think critically. I think those are actually benefits of COVID. We got to learn a lot of things, and not only in entertainment. I'm pretty much sure even government institutes got to learn how to cut budgets by traveling in summits and conferences. Now we know there are some virtual platforms you can use and get to cut that transport. Of course, other people lose in the process, but it's a solution. What Bana just said there, entertainment, I think it's suffering because of the word itself. it doesn't have a strict word like hospitality, ICT, it's entertainment. I don't know if you guys understand when someone meets you and say, so you're an entertainer. And this is someone who owns a hotel. Now is when they get to realize that hospitality and entertainment are married. These are people that shouldn't separate. Right now, hotels are suffering more even than us because right now a hotel needs entertainment to boost their festive packages. So how are they going to do it now? You'll get to realize that festive season benefits more of hospitality sector than the entertainment sector. All I do is arrange an event for kids, for a game center to benefit. Arrange a concert of Kassav for KCC to benefit. I'll arrange a getaway DJs on the beach for hotels around Rubavu to benefit. If you look at it, the entertainment is pretty much in the middle of everything, and that's why it's always put in breaks of every serious issue. Look at every big event. Summits happening, politicians speaking, it's used as a break, but to be honest, it shouldn't. It's a serious thing. So to me, I think COVID has taught us a lot, us as artists and even consumers. I meet people, this time families get creative and think of what to be the entertainers of your families. Get to understand that actually entertainment has been here. We've been taking it for granted, some of us, and now we get to understand that it's a very critical element in our lives. You will really think that why are you getting only 2-3 artists making hit songs? It's not because they are the best. They are the only ones that are capable of booking a studio during the day. Good artists upcoming, they only book studios at night. They have to beg the producer. They sleep in studios. They can't move now. So that is why the number of hit songs reduced to a few artists that can manage, that have money. You'll see, just count all hit songs. These are artists that have money. So you'll get to realize that the entertainment industry is being hit, and my only worry that I have, even after COVID is done, we expect them to come back and boom back to business. They've used every small saving they've had to survive. Now they have to go back and beg for sponsors, and we all know how it goes with sponsors. They'll tell you we also got affected. In fact, they get paid less now because of COVID. So I think I agree with Bana that the entertainment sector should not be treated as a last option of the sectors to be rising. I know the government has it in plans. During the COVID, there was a recovery fund for creatives. I personally happen to be a beneficiary of it. Seka Live managed to get the 10 million funds that is going to be running for 6 months. It's a beginning, which is a good thing. And I think that's why these conversations are good to happen now, because there is a listening ear out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, Arthur, at the beginning of the show, you talked about virtual events. And, you know, the next topic I want to talk about is virtual events. But you said something very interesting, that most of these events during, you know, during the lockdown and even after the lockdown were not virtual. There was no live interaction. It was pre-recorded and that sort of thing. So just looking at the future, looking into the next 6 to 8 months, because like you said, like we've all said, we don't know how long, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic is with us. But, you know, you have to think at least a year, you know, half a year into a year in advance. From your perspective, what sort of investments should people start making in the entertainment sector? From an artist perspective, but also from an investor like, you know, Charles, who is affiliated to an investment company in an entertainment outfit. What sort of framework, how should people start thinking now, looking into the future with this pandemic?
Personally, looking into the future, people should start thinking e-commerce. It's the biggest pillar of the future. The reason why the events are not virtual, or even when they are virtual, they can't make money, you can't monetize them, is because e-commerce is a topic we've been talking about but not practicing. It's now that we are getting to, I'll tell you the truth. Maybe Charles will tell you. We do events and sell 10% of the tickets online, and the 90% has to be sold on the door. And this person calls you and be like, because it's not a culture yet. And I've seen banks, I've seen companies, startups pushing the e-commerce, and I think the entertainment should join. We shouldn't really think that everything is going to be physical and interactive. We need to reach a point where we do shootings. I've seen Kevin Hart did a show, his latest show. It was in his sitting room, I think as big as this, and it's streamed on Netflix. I think he makes more money on Netflix than the people that came in his house. I think the future now is to invest in the e-commerce. Every entertainment investor should look at how to merge those two, because it's key. And also it goes to educating the consumers that it's safe. You can do it. You can benefit. You can watch a show. You can watch content on your phone. It's okay. Just like you watch football on your phone. You don't feel like I'm not in the match of Arsenal. No, you can still enjoy it. We get to enjoy more of international content digitally than local content. I don't know why, but for some reason, someone can watch Trevor Noah on their phone than they watch King James performing on their phone. And I don't know why, but it's a culture that we have to develop, because when we unlock that, in fact, if COVID had found us in a situation where most of the people are familiar with that system, this would have been easy. Starting an app that does virtual event wouldn't be hard. Someone subscribing or watching, there will be ways of paying. Right now, if Bana wants to perform, the best thing she's going to crack is a deal with RBA. And you won't make money out of it, but you won't make money on YouTube. Yeah, people have tried putting mobile money, but you know, you're watching home. You have to take a decision. This guy is suffering. Let me send him money on his phone. It takes, and then by the time you are deciding, and they go. It's so, all I'm trying to say is we need to invest in the e-commerce for the future. And it goes back to the conversation that Bana was saying, entertainment is not just another. You see main artworks of artists, they put headliners, this one, and others. If there was an artwork of sectors, I think entertainment would come in and others, having the hospitality, ICT, infrastructure, and all that, the headliners of the artwork. So it should move from the and others to the main. That way it goes in the system. So when they're thinking generally about every sector, we are also there. Absolutely. That will help. That would help.
It's always a pleasure having you on the show, Arthur, and you know, always making us smile, but with very, very valid points. Absolutely. Brenda, do you want to weigh in before we go to our next topic?
No, I was just thinking about what we were talking about, the silent disco victims, you know.
Victims or perpetrators? At this point, I'm not sure about victims, but anyway.
I think it's quite an interesting idea. I mean, it's been around. There's like a silent disco movement around the world. You would think that COVID would actually be a good place to promote silent discos. You know, maybe you're in your bedroom and the other person is the other side. You can actually social distance in a silent disco kind of space. I would think so.
I think the thing is just the social aspect of it all. You're listening to music, I'll come and try and touch you and say, I'm listening to a song. And
How?
I don't think it would pan out.
Well, I don't think so. Because if you've... Yeah, I've seen it happen. And I think there was... is it Century used to do silent disco? Because you're in your own world, you're in your own space. Yeah? So as we go virtual, I think someone could actually have a silent disco kind of virtual event where people are in their homes and they're sharing drinks and maybe it's streamed live. I don't know. So there's room for
creativity.
Yeah, for creativity. Yeah. And these things are already happening in the global space. But like he's saying, you need the infrastructure. I mean, if you log in, you're trying to watch an event live and the connection is going, you know, you'll be pissed off. And maybe for Arthur to know, the reason why people would easily watch a foreign package.
Reliable internet.
Yeah, you know, it would be, the quality of the production, and there would be less issues. If you try to watch you know, a local event live and then, you know, the internet is going this way, you'll be frustrated, you just log off.
That's true.
Yeah.
Can I just throw a comment around that on two things? One, on the silent disco. It's a little bit different, and I can almost understand why the people are apprehended. If you're in a party atmosphere, naturally you'll be drinking, you'll get tipsy or high for that matter, and then you'll be a bit cozy, and the whole social distancing thing will never work. Yeah. That's one. But the other thing has to do with what it takes now. I'm just trying to relate it to what Arthur said earlier on around virtual concerts and virtual events, and whether they are really not virtual. So, Bana, you do raise a very pertinent point around internet and quality of internet, and there are two opportunities there. One is that traditionally, when Seka Live or Hope Azeda or Boo Boo with East African Promotions, whoever it is going to think of the big event, Neptunes and their Just Junction, whoever is going to think about a big thing. The usual suspects they go to are breweries, banks, telecoms. Now, what COVID is telling us is that there is an opportunity to talk to the untapped, usually from promotions. I mean, from a sponsorship perspective, and Arthur will appreciate this, it is very difficult to get sponsorship in cash. It is a lot easier to get sponsorship in kind.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I saw an event that has been sponsored by Korea Telecom or by Liquid Telecom for that matter. MTN Airtel do a lot of events. But some of these guys who are big players in the internet space, it's a huge opportunity for them to present their brand, but also that the owners of these events, the event planners, the event organizers, and the music promoters give more value to sponsorship in kind. Because for you to get fast, good, reliable internet, you'll have to pay through your nose. But for you to tell those guys, no, I'm not asking you for any money, but just give me good internet. So that's one. But even beyond that, for everybody to think that now internet is just not enough in my premises for running an EBM machine. It is actually an integral part of my business survival. And that's really the second point that I wanted to raise. The third one is the point around others. It is very easy for us to mistake it when we only look at it from the point of view of the business owners. Because indeed, those will be very few. But
entertainment business owners.
Entertainment business owners. Those will most likely be a drop in the ocean. But when you go down to talk about cleaners, bouncers, waiters, waitresses, cab drivers, motor riders throughout the whole night, DJs, sound technicians, ticketing staff, then on the F&B side, those who sell the alcohol, those who sell the food, and so on and so forth, you will actually see.
There's an entire ecosystem.
Yes. The ecosystem is probably huger than some of these sectors that are mainstream. And that's where I think probably somebody needs to come up and really quantify it and see the magnitude of the ecosystem, and moving forward, it's given a huge weight. Yes.
I like your last point, especially on quantifying. Because without data, you really can't make a case for anything. I'd like us to just quickly go to a social media feed. We have a couple of tweets coming in. The first question is to Arthur. We have Inez Esther, if you can have that on our screens, please, who's saying that, firstly, please ask Mr. Arthur Nhusi the challenges he's met as an entertainer and why, of all careers, he chose entertainment. Second, one of the problems Rwanda faces is lack of employment. What advice can he give to the youth facing this kind of problem? Thank you. Our second tweet before we go to Arthur, and that request for a sort of personal story, Arthur. The second tweet is from Tuisendi Jackson, who says, hello, I think mindset change and not resisting is something that we need to capture and accept to adapt ourselves to new situations like COVID-19. We need to be innovative to ensure we don't stay down, especially during the festive season. So Jackson is more or less giving sort of words of encouragement during this period. We have another tweet coming in, and this tweet is from could also have that on the screens, please, is from Adams, who says that, thank you, Berna, the entertainment industry has totally been forgotten by all levels of government, yet it plays a big role in the hospitality industry at large. We have a couple of tweets coming in, but I'd just like us to quickly go to the first tweet that was addressed to you, Arthur. Why the entertainment industry as a career choice? And I think you already talked about how you've been affected, but if you could just answer that part of the tweet.
I don't know why the entertainment industry. I think I grew up in the entertainment industry, so I didn't really have much of options of thinking. I tried agriculture. I actually love agriculture. I think in the next 5 years, I'm changing to agriculture. Not really changing, but tapping. Entertainment, because my family and all that, and then I grew up in a group that traveled. I don't know if you know what it means to travel just to go dancing. Get paid. And it was cool by then when I was...
This is Mashirika, right?
Yeah, with Mashirika. I first traveled in 2005. You can imagine you go abroad. I mean, I don't
outside
even know
countries.
you understand what it means to board a plane.
Outside countries.
At such a young age because of entertainment, theater basically, which is, put in entertainment. But I think I took that direction because I thought, but mainly because I got to discover that entertainment is more than just fun. It's actually another job that connects with entrepreneurship and all that. I get to be a good content developer because I passed through all the levels of theater and entertainment. So it makes it easier even when a big organization tells me, hey, Arthur, we are promoting Expo, for example. Can you do something different? It's easier for me to adapt than if I was just a normal guy trying to say this and this. So I think entertainment became easier for me, and that's why I went for it. Any advice I can give to the youth? There are no jobs anywhere you go. I think that we should really know, whether you go to US, whether you go to any country you think of. Maybe heaven, they said, but there will also be jobs of picking those fruits. It will be a job. So what I can tell anyone is, we really need to get out of this thing of there is a certain stage where you start thinking of a career. You know, we grew up in an era where you study primary, secondary, university, and then they ask you, and then what? We should start thinking from secondary. Where do you see yourself? You have more time. You'll really be surprised by what you can do in the vacation between senior 6 and university. More people get ideas of who they want to be in that period. So I'm not saying it's too late for you, but I'm just saying you should think outside the box. And another thing is, people should know when to let go. Sometimes you are in something that is not yours, and you are not having fun. So we should really know when to let go, and also know when to create our own things. We are not all supposed to work for someone. So that's all. I can easily go and work for Diana and be like, hey, Diana, you see, I'm really good at this and this and this, and I will easily get a job. So we look at so much of security-wise, and I take it back to how we grew up on you are a man, gomba kugira kazi, kuhu mushahara, and people don't like risking, especially we the young ones. Risking is amazing because even when you get 100, just 100 francs from a risk, it's worth than I don't know what that you got. To me, from my experience, I risk a lot. Like, I really, really risk a lot, and it's how I've managed to stay where I am. So that's all I can say.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Last couple of tweets before we go to our closing remarks. We have a tweet coming in from David Kaitari, who says the entertainment sector shouldn't be a last option. It's time for investors to start giving value to local creativity. There's a huge outcome when thought of in a broader sense. That's the first tweet from David. We have another tweet also coming in from Innocent, and Innocent states that very pertinent points from Atang Husi, e-commerce is the way to go. So there's lots of rethinking in terms of the entertainment industry. Very valid points. It should not be the other, and others. It should be a core aspect that is married to hospitality and MICE in general. The last question I just have for all the panelists, and starting with you, Arthur, is just a recap of moving forward in terms of reinventing their work. How can also local, you mentioned the e-commerce, but just, how can entertainment businesses reinvent their work for local as well as regional and international audiences? And lastly, what role do you think creatives have to play in this role in terms of sustaining the creativity? What advice do you have to creatives in terms of telling them, hang in there? What sort of mindset do they need to have between now and the unknown of this pandemic as creatives in the creative industry?
On the first question, I think all I can say is we need to invest in the quality. I think that's something they mentioned, and the quality goes beyond the quality of the content we give. It goes to the quality of the equipment we use. It goes to the quality of the brands we build. That's another topic of another day, because at the end of the day, the key players in the entertainment industry, we do not have a clear skill set of how to be brands or manage artists or communication, PR. We are still doing it as tryouts. I think I can say that. So we should really improve on the quality, and this will help us also penetrate other markets. It's easier when you think of a bigger picture than just the local market. That way you easily do big, and even if you don't do the entire thing, the small you've done will be big to your local market. So I think that will be something we need to tap in. Of course, it goes with investment, and that's when now we need to also have a conversation about investors in general, not just investment in, when we say SMEs in Rwanda, we never look at startup companies in entertainment. So maybe we should also start having them when we have big summits of SMEs. Let's also have startups in entertainment, even if we don't get the money, but we get the knowledge of setting up companies, because however much it's entertainment, it's still run as any other company. So the quality part goes on every angle of entertainment. Quality in terms of investment, quality in terms of content, quality in terms of players, the key players, quality in terms of platforms that we use. Right now, YouTube is the biggest. To me, I find it weird, because that's a lot of money that really goes outside. That if it's even possible, there should be a rainbow structure for Rwandans that collects. It's a lot of data that is collected by YouTube. And to me, I feel really bad that that is something that goes out there. So when we talk about quality, also we look at that kind of investment of infrastructure. Now, as we players in the entertainment industry going forward, I think this is time to learn. I always tell my colleagues, I'm like, sometimes it's okay to sit back and strategize without really falling into things fast. So right now, I'll tell anyone, just sit back and strategize and see what's happening first before you try to rush with time. And I'm like, okay, right now they are closing down. I know in December they're going to open us up, so I'll start something in Jan. Now you start communicating, planning something in Jan, and then they close Jan. I'm like, okay, now I know. No, sit, plan, and strategize. I'll be honest with you. This December, most of the event organizers that we know, we are not planning anything. I'll tell you the truth. People may feel bad, oh, the latest communique killed everything. No, nothing. It killed for the venues, hotels were planning something, but you didn't see Bubu saying East African party is happening. You didn't see Remy saying Kigali Jazz Junction is coming. You didn't see people, Nyamachoma festivals or what. No, they are planning and strategizing. So I think that's a very key thing, because then we can easily come back strong. Otherwise, if we keep fighting with COVID, I don't think it's a war we can win. Right now, we sit back, plan, strategize, and do what's possible. Then we'll come back strong. Absolutely. Yeah.
A very powerful word. You cannot fight with COVID. Plan, strategize, stick to the measures that have been put in place. I think at the end of the day, lives matter more than, these things, events and that sort of thing. Charles, closing remarks?
Two particular ones. One is really around the opportunities that have been created. And Arthur did hint on content creation. And I'll just talk about sports. You see, sports has gone on, whether it's the Bundesliga, whether it is, until recently, Ferwafa, the Champions League was going on. We hosted a big basketball tournament. We are watching tournaments all over the world. The IPL took place. But people need to understand, and back to the point that, just an example of East African promotions that Arthur talked about with Bubu, that the center stage, whether it's a football match or a music show, contributes probably a maximum of 40% towards why people are there. So creating that electric atmosphere is extremely important. And there's a huge opportunity there that for RBA to just come and televise a game, or Super Sport to come and show a tennis match with no fans, yes, they have given us the audience who just like the sport, but they have not given us the ambience. And I have seen it in a sport I like so much, cricket, where you have all sorts of sound effects. There are people drumming. There are dummies in the stadium. There are, what does it take to just get pre-recorded drummers, or when Rayon Sport is playing up here in the middle of nowhere, and we actually imagine that they are actually people, So I think that's the other opportunity that it's created around content and what have you. The last one is the existing platforms that are keeping us glued onto our screens and our phones, and how they can really up their game. So, and I'll take an example of, there's a dance force that's on RBA, I think by Bisoso, Anita, and but those are the two, just because they're my friends, and we keep it that way. Now, you find them innovating themselves. The other day they dressed like baristas. Another day they are doing splits on the floor.
It's called Jitego.
It's not Friday.
No, it's a dance force on Friday, and it's really entertaining. Yeah, it's extremely entertaining. So it just then leads you to say, okay, what else can somebody offer the viewers, since we are all, now it's even Sambiri, so we are all glued to our screens during this holiday season. Is it enough? But even those who are already in that space, how are they going to continue rediscovering themselves? And I think that's a huge opportunity, because whether you like it or not, you have 7 days in a week. Even when COVID ends, we'll still want entertainment 7 days a week. So we have to think a little bit out of the box. And lastly, just to wish everybody a Merry Christmas on my own behalf. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brenna, very quickly, closing remarks.
I'm going back to mice.
Yes.
If you're creating an industry around mice, then entertainment cannot be Saturday, Sunday. It has to be Monday to Sunday, because you need to create the demand and then support whoever is in the industry. So you can't limit it to Saturday and Sunday. It should be from Monday to Sunday, depending on when someone chooses to feel entertained. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the only way you can create a sustainable entertainment industry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Arthur, would you like to quickly say something? Just to wrap it all up, your presence here, and you very articulately put points that you put forward.
No, thank you very much. I want to thank you. I think the first step is also Bana, Diana, and Charles to give us a chance here. And in all the topics you could have discussed on, you also chose entertainment. It's actually a big step, and I'll be honest with you, that's the start, and it's the way forward. I'll also take the chance and say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone. Stay strong. There is a reason why you are alive, and you'll make it. Don't worry.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Well, keep the conversation going using #TheSquareRW. I'd like to thank you, Charles. I'd like to thank you, Brenna. Once again, Arthur, for very eloquently putting your points forward. And also, lastly, to our viewers, I would like to just also, on behalf of The Square, wish you a very, 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 and RBA, of course, a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year as well. Stay safe, stay at home, observe the curfew measures. Let's try and get into the new year together. To our partners, Uzi Collections and Bourbon Coffee, thank you for always supporting the square. Have a very festive, if as much as you can, have a very good festive season, and see you again all next week. Have a good night.